You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today, we are doing a mini show looking at Week 16, previewing the week for the NBA. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed. Let's start by looking at how the schedule breaks down for this upcoming week. A very, very busy Monday, post-Super Bowl Monday in the NBA. 10 games on Monday. We go down to the 4 on Tuesday, 9 on Wednesday, 5 on Thursday, 8 on Friday, 9 on Saturday, 7 on Sunday. Theoretically, you could stream players in every day of the week. In practice, it's normally when you've got more than 8 games on a day that you run into sit-start type decisions. So if we want to look at real streaming days, it's probably Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. But Wednesday and Saturday could very easily, depending on how your roster is constructed, give you streaming options. So you could turn into a 4-day streaming week into a 6-day very easily. And then you have to pay attention to how you deal with your acquisitions for the week. That is important. Let's just have a look at who plays the games this week, though. There's only one team that plays 2 games, and that is the Chicago Bulls. The majority of teams play 4 games. The Knicks, the Mavericks, the Magic, the Sixers, the Clippers, the Celtics, Pistons, Suns, Hawks, Pacers, Grizzlies, Spurs, Rockets, Heat, and Blazers all have 4 games this week. The Bulls have 2, and everybody else has 3 games. So that difference between those 4 games and the Bulls is going to make these Bulls guys really tough to roster. Zach LaVine's probably the only guy that you'd consider there. Your Chris Dunn, who's injured with that knee at the moment. Yeah, Thomas Satoransky, not really in the picture there either. The replacement centers, Thad Young, those sort of guys, they're just not going to have that value in a 2-game week, in a weekly schedule, in a weekly lineup. Let's have a look now in terms of those stream days and how we can attack those. In terms of quality games for the week, Portland and Houston, all 4 of their games for this week are on the low volume days. So Trevor Ariza, great value for him. You're looking at Gary Trent Jr., who has value for this week, a name which you probably weren't expecting to hear, but he's getting solid minutes and he's producing at a decent enough level. Yeah, Mallow and McCollum and Lillard and Whiteside, all those guys are already rostered, but we're looking at someone like Trent and Ariza as players who have value. For Houston, it's a little bit harder, but someone like Daniel House is really strong this week. Austin Rivers looks okay this week. PJ Tucker, who's been shit for a while, but he's a guy that we can look at with the 4 quality games this week, because you add him and you're going to at least be able to play him those 4 games. Now, Capella's dealing with his heel injury. They haven't been going with Hartenstein at all. So he's not someone that we really want to look at as an ad, but Eric Gordon, he gets that real boost in value with the 4 quality games this week from the Houston Rockets. That's something that we do need to pay attention to. So let's have a look. Let's exclude Monday as a streaming day because there's 10 games on it. It is going to be hard to get someone into your active spot. So we're looking at Tuesday where there is only the 4 games on. And I'll go through it here, and I'll assume that all of these days are streaming days, so we can look at all the back-to-backs, even though you're probably going to do Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. You might be able to do it on these other days. So on Tuesday and Wednesday, there is just the one team with a back-to-back, and that's the Denver Nuggets. So you've got your Torrey Craigs you could have a look at there. Jeremy Grant should already be rostered. Michael Porter should already be rostered. Will Barton should already be rostered. But if Gaz Harris is back, which I assume he will be, you can look at Gaza there. You can look at Monty Morris there, assuming Jamal Murray is still sidelined as well. If Paul Millsap's back, you could look at him for that Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. So the Nuggets have that combination there, the only team with a Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back. For the Wednesday, Thursday back-to-back, the Orlando Magic have that combination. So Kem Birch, Wes Iwundu, Michael Carter-Williams. If Aaron Gordon was dropped, and rightfully so, You can stream him back in for that back-to-back. He's been shit for nearly all of this season, but that is an opportunity to get him back in for those 2 games. And they are the only team that have that Wednesday-Thursday back-to-back. So, again, we're looking about getting 2-for-1s here. So, using an ad on that Tuesday for a Nuggets player, using the ad on Wednesday for a Magic player, that gives you 4 bonus games. Now, you might look at it and say, yeah, I'll just do the Tuesday-Wednesday ad, and then I won't because I'd want to drop that Denver guy to add the next player, so the Wednesday-Thursday back-to-back doesn't work for me, and I totally understand that. So what you then look at is targeting the Thursday-Friday back-to-back, and we've got the Philadelphia 76ers who have that combination of games. The Rockets have that combination of games, as do the Blazers, and I touched on them already before, how they've both got 4 quality game weeks. So we've talked about Houston and Portland already, but with Philadelphia, Shake Milton, the painter Matisse Thybulle, both of those guys getting some value at the moment. Furky from Turkey. Hull Neto, probably not, but maybe. But you look at, there's definitely some Korkmaz and some Milton and some Thybulle value there that you could add in and get that value on that back-to-back. So you add your Nuggets player, you switch that guy out after Wednesday, you add a Sixers player, 2 ads, 4 games, 1 roster spot. That's in 4 days, that's 4 games played from 1 roster spot. You don't get that from from your usual roster spot. When you've got, Porzingis, that's a bad option. You've got Ben Simmons on your team. He plays Monday, he plays Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. That's 4 games from 1 roster spot in 7 days. Not 4 games through 4 days. And we've still got now 2 more days to use that roster spot to get more value in. So we've gone that Tuesday, Wednesday, we've gone the Thursday, Friday. You can look at Friday, Saturday back-to-backs, but that means you're not using that same roster spot, but we'll talk about that anyway. The Mavericks have a Friday, Saturday back-to-back. The Pistons have one. The Suns have one. The Indiana Pacers have one as well, as well as the Sacramento Kings and the Toronto Raptors. So tons of teams having that Friday, Saturday back-to-back. For Dallas, JJ Barea, Jalen Brunson, Delon Wright, Tim Hardaway, Maxi Kleber, Willie Cauley-Stein. So many guys that you can take a look at there. For Detroit, Svi Mikhailuk, Bruce Brown, Reggie Jackson, the Crucifix Christian Wood should be rostered anyway, despite the shit one he had last game. Thon McCare maybe, because he is starting at the moment. Markieff Morris, we could look at him. For Phoenix, McCall Bridges looks like the option we want to look at there. Tyler Johnson somehow is back in the rotation. If Dario Saric's ankle is okay, you could look at him on that back-to-back. The Indiana Pacers, we're looking at TJ McConnell, we're looking at Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb in that time frame as well, could be worth a look. And then if we flip it down to the Sacramento Kings, you're looking at The Undertaker, Dwayne Dedman, with Marvin Bagley still likely out. You're looking at maybe Kent Bazemore, maybe Corey Joseph in that situation. And then for the Toronto Raptors, well, with Norm Powell out, maybe it's the Jedi, Anunoby.
Hello there.
Maybe it's someone like Terrence Davis who steps up in Powell's absence. They're probably the 2 main standouts there. Rondé Hollis-Jefferson perhaps gets some extra minutes if OG has to push down to the 3 more than to the 4, but he's dealing with his own ankle problem at the moment. Let's go back to that original situation where we were looking at the Denver guy, we're looking at the Philadelphia guy, so then we're looking to see what we can do with that Saturday, Sunday back-to-back to get 6 games played in 1 roster spot in 6 days. So the New York Knicks have a Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. So that is the team that we'd be attacking there, as do the Clippers. Sorry, they're the other team. So 2 teams have that Saturday, Sunday back-to-back. For the Knicks, of course, Mitch Robinson.
And Mitch Robinson says, I'll take it from here.
Now, Robbo shouldn't be available anywhere, but he is. So he's a guy we look at there. If there's a loose Marcus Morris anywhere on the wire, you grab him. Alfred Payton's available in way too many leagues. He should be rostered anyway, but that's a perfect situation to look at him there. You look at Damian Dotson, Reggie Bullock. You could add him in that situation as well. Punch Bobby Portis could be a guy. He's a guy, but you could look at him as an option to add there across that weekend back-to-back. And then for the Clippers, do you look at JaMychal Green? Do you look at Flaming Mo Harkless? Landry Shamet, Patrick Beverley, who should already be rostered. Shamet's probably the ideal target there. Ivica Zubats on a weekend back-to-back. So, by using that streaming strategy, that's 6 games played from 1 roster spot, where in average, a roster spot gives you 3.7 games. That's an extra 2.3 games for those of you who don't have your calculator handy, and that 2 games, that could be really important in getting a win. Plus, that uses only 3 acquisitions, so you've got 1 more acquisition there to use on the Sunday, to use on the Saturday to boost that category you need. An additional 7 games. Or, to be fair, on the Saturday, you could use that extra waiver addition and get 2 Knicks players or 2 Clippers players or 1 of each and get another 2 games on. So that's 8 games for waiver acquisitions. That's the way that you win a streaming situation. That's what you do when it comes to the fantasy playoffs. For weekly leagues, let's look at guys who probably should be sat down. I mentioned all the Bulls guys. Marc Gasol, not someone I want to be risking with his hamstring injury and only 3 games. Larry Nance with only 3 games might be a tougher one. The Padawan Colin Sexton maybe as well. You'd probably still want to get him in there. Gary Harris, Paul Millsap, Jeremy Grant, probably harder to risk those because look, if Millsap and Murray come back, I don't know if using 3 games of Jeremy Grant in a 27-minute-a-night role is going to be worthwhile. That's a tough one. Bud Hield and Bogdan Bogdanovic with 3 games, they're really touch and go. Miles Bridges and Paul Washington Jr., not players that you'd want to look at for this week. Mike Conley and Joe Ingles, tougher to roster as well, though Conley is back into the starting lineup for the Jazz, but with only the 3 games on. And again, with so many teams having 4 games, these guys might be tougher options to roster. Some players we can look at who do have some increased value. There's the whole bunch of Mavericks guys, Delon Wright, JJ Barea, Seth Curry, the burner Jalen Brunson. They've all got 4 games. We don't know how Carlisle's going to rotate that Luka Doncic position, but there's value in some of those guys. Picking the right one's the tough one. Ivica Zubac, Daniel Tice, the Crucifix Christian Wood, Reggie Jackson, Jeremy Lamb, Cam Reddish with the Hawks has 4 games. The wave pool, D'Anthony Melton, Eric Gordon, Gary Trent, Trevor Ariza. All some names we can look at who have favorable schedules for this week who could help your team in weekly and daily changes leagues. Guys, that'll do it for my mini show. I'll be back tomorrow with another mini show looking at the waiver wire, looking at waiver wire options. I'll be writing a Yahoo mailbag as well, so keep an eye out on my Instagram story and on Twitter when I put out the call for questions there. And then back on the recap for Sunday games and previewing Monday games back into the week as usual. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.